Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. Coming up, President-elect John Mahama vows to make stabilizing the economy a major priority as he admits current IMF program could limit proposed reforms aimed at turning things around.
The budget must align with the IMF program, so there's not much leverage in there for making the kind of radical reforms that you might immediately need to make.
Meanwhile, the IMF says it is open to rework Ghana's program as long as it does not affect ongoing reforms. Plus, prices of petroleum products expected to decline at the pumps this week, with steady stability and drop in global crude oil prices cited as major factors for the review. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for joining us. Details coming up. And thanks for staying with us, everyone. President-elect John Mahama has vowed to make stabilizing the economy his major priority when he takes over government from January 7 next year. He has also noted that dealing with mounting debt and containing rising expenditure will be a strong focus. The president-elect disclosed this in an interview with news network Voice of America, where he also spoke about reviewing the IMF program.
The economy is going to be the number one focus because it affects everything else. If the economy is in a bad way, it affects education, it affects agriculture, it affects sports, it affects every sector of the country. So we're going to have to be dealing with stabilizing the economy. Unfortunately, in this circumstance, we have two major issues. One, macroeconomic stability, and two, debt sustainability. In all the other times that we've gone to the IMF, it's just been for macroeconomic stability, but we have twin problems now. And so we're going to continue the IMF program. We already have requested some discussion with the IMF because we're not part of the negotiation of this program. And so we need to look at how we can all be on the same wavelength in terms of implementing the program. We're not going to jettison the program. I want to make that clear. We're not jettisoning the program. But within the program, I'm sure that there can be some leverage for tweaking it. And so if we're able to reach that agreement, then we'll continue the program till it ends. What it means is that the budget must align with the IMF program. So there's not much leverage in there for making the kind of radical reforms that you might immediately need to make. But we would accept the reforms that are being made under the IMF and deepen them when we have our own program after the current extended credit facility runs out.
Well, meanwhile, the IMF has revealed that it will be open to rework Ghana's program as long as it does not affect ongoing reforms. This is the latest information Joy Business has picked up from the IMF in Washington, D.C., over plans by the incoming government to review the program. Yes, Georgia, I feel with more.
The latest information that Joy Business is picking up from the International Monetary Fund as a result of the push by the incoming administration to renegotiate the fund program. Last week, the IMF in its staff report revealed that any proposed changes to the program should be in line with the key objectives of the Extended Credit Facility program. But the fund has gone further to explain that whatever the incoming administration would propose in terms of changes to the program should not affect the current reforms aimed at stabilizing the economy. Now, this because these reforms are needed to bring about the needed turnaround of the economy.
Joining me on Zoom is Dr. Seram Kao, who is Senior Finance Lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, to discuss this. So President-elect John Mahama is promising to stabilize the economy, address a rising debt, cut down on expenditure. How easy would that be, and what does he have to grapple with?
Thank you very much. It's going to be a tall order for the president-elect to do all the things he wanted to do, because, as you have already said, we are with the IMF, making sure that we stabilize the macroeconomic environment. We look at the macro as well, and then debt exchange program. So debt sustainability is a key issue. Already, the president himself and his team have promised that some taxes will be taken off. So going back to the IMF and trying to review, the IMF, as you have said, is open to the review simply because it is part of their scheme to ensure that debt negotiations are done so that the country can also get some benefit from it. What it means for the president is that they will also have to look at it in terms of cutting down expenditure. If we are able to cut down expenditure, if we are able to reduce the issue of waste in the system, we are able to recover monies that have been stolen, and those people who have done it are brought to book. And we cut down the number of ministries that are available. He promises that he's going to deal with 60 ministries. And so if all these things are done, it will go a long way to have an effect on the economy and stabilizing the macroeconomic environment that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the IMF's response to the Mahama administration's plan to rework some of the terms in the economic program. And so a former finance minister, Tegwe, had indicated that they probably look at the completion date, also look for avenues to borrow. I mean, these are things that are going to be discussed with the IMF. What do you make of what the former finance minister said about the completion date and avenues to borrow, and the kind of response you're receiving from the IMF at this point? It sounds really positive.
Yeah, it may sound positive, but very worrying that the incoming government is looking for avenues to borrow. Already, we are with the IMF for one major reason. The reason being that we are out of the international financial market because of our debt sustainability levels. And so we are out. The external creditors are not ready to give us extra amount of money. Bilateral investors are also not ready. We have the domestic exchange that we are grappling with. And so it is too early for the current government to be talking about looking for avenues for borrowing. We have always maintained that borrowing is good, but where we borrow for consumption and we are not using it for capital expenditure, and that will give us return on investment, these things are bad for us. So the focus is that let us reduce expenditure, which the current government is not done. And so the incoming government will have to rationalize their expenditure and make sure that we get value for money in whichever areas that we have. We make sure that we close down the loopholes where there are leakages, where people will be able to make away with monies and accountability becomes a problem. That should also be covered. If we are able to do that, and then we ensure that we get the needed support from government officials in terms of discipline, in terms of accountability, in ensuring that they put the country first in whatever they do, the country will be able to move forward.
But is that enough for the government to carry out its agenda, just cutting down on expenditure. Mind you, they're also talking about removing some taxes, and so they probably may have to borrow at a point to run the government.
Yes, so yes, it's not enough. They will probably have to borrow, but it's too early to talk about borrowing. You need to look at what is in there, making sure that what are the causes of the fundamentals falling. And you want to see how you can strengthen the fundamentals that we have. As we speak, the government is crowding out financial investors from the market. They are borrowing from the money market. And cost of borrowing is also very high. So it is time for us to look at how we'll be able to get out of that situation. The cost of borrowing when it is low and the business environment which they operate is also fine. That will go a long way to help. Let's remember that these issues are also coming out with the issue of the free SHS, which the president said that he is not going to cancel, that he is going to find a sustainable way of making sure that funding is available. Yes, this government is noted for creating some good and nice policies in terms of the sinking fund, which was supposed to be used for the payment of debt. That fund was reduced to nothing. We talk about the ESLA, which they have introduced for the petroleum sector bonds. Those were not properly used for what they were intended for. So if they say that they are coming to create some amount of funds so that revenues can be pumped into that for use, it will be something that it is possible because of their track record to do that. Let's not forget the GET fund that they have also introduced, which is currently not living up to its expectation. That is also fine.
Well, on the free SHS policy, do you agree with the president-elect's stance not to cancel it? I mean, many have talked about the burden this has been on the economy.
Yes, so the free SHS is very beneficial, it is good, but the implementation is the problem. So I perfectly agree with the president that the free SHS has come to stay. He is not going to cancel it. If he cancels the free SHS, the next election Ghanaians will punish them for that. They want to improve the quality of the free SHS, improve the sustainability of the program. And that is why they are saying that they are going to create a dedicated fund that will make sure that things are done. They are not going to centralize the procurement of food items, uniforms, and the rest at a particular center, but they are going to ensure that the head teachers and the finance unit of the various SHSs handle these things, and so decentralization of the feeding and all those things will be done. They are going to ensure that the textbooks that the children need and expansion of infrastructure in these schools will also be done. This, I'm sure, when they do it, it will enhance the quality of the free SHS that we have, because we also have the situation where some parents, people will agree or disagree with me on this. There are people who are paying money to enter some secondary schools in Ghana. These monies are going into individual pockets. The formalization of this unit, where some people will be able to pay fees to help the government, will be something that is good. The current government the incoming government spoke about bringing the PTAs, all student associations, and the rest to the management of the schools and making sure that they also contribute to the schools. That is good. Some schools, parents will have to pay or buy food items and send to the schools before they get money. So if it comes that there is some amount of cost sharing or voluntary contribution for parents or schools that you are going to a boarding school or grade A schools, there are some amount of fees that you are supposed to pay, but not a total amount. My brother, let it go.
Let it go. Well, let's talk about jobs. It was one of the main choices, voters had to make in deciding who would be the next president because of the unemployment situation in the country. Now, John Mahama in that interview also spoke about creating jobs. He does not believe in the various policies we've seen in the past, youth in agriculture, youth in whatever. He plans to create more jobs, but how is he going to do that? I mean, where does he look first?
Thank you very much. Jobs are something that we all need. Once you get a job, your standard of living, your cost of living will all improve over time. And so in creating the job, we need to be innovative in doing that now. And when you look at it, one way where the jobs can be created is talking about the 24-hour economy that the president-elect spoke about. The 24-hour economy is such that it will create the 8-hour in 3 tranches. And so businesses that will volunteer will not use the same set of workers in doing that. So jobs can be created in that particular respect. Another issue is about the big push. The government spoke about the big push. The big push is trying to ensure that you don't focus your attention in one particular area. What drives the economy? What drives the economy is about construction, agriculture, manufacturing. Those things are the ones that drive the economy, making sure that infrastructure development is massive in the country.
Okay.
And once these things are happening, you are going to ensure that a lot more people are coming on board to seek for employment and all those things that we're talking about. We're talking about creating a job in the digital space. But I have a little problem with that. It's good, but those who are going to use the space, if the one who is creating the job digitally is able to work, but the people, the businesses that are going to use that particular system do not understand the digital space with which they are supposed to work, then it comes to nothing. And so the training and all those things are needed. They spoke about the apprenticeship program that will come on board. If the apprenticeship program comes on board and training is given and certificates are given, startup capital is given to these people, people will create a lot of jobs. Let us bear in mind that, yes, masons, mechanics, any other artisan, painters, and the rest, their cost, they charge now is even very high.
Right.
Sometimes much higher than the cost of the materials that you are buying. When they do this thing, they will streamline them, and that can even result to some form of taxes the government can raise from these individuals. And once skills are there, they have the manpower to do the things that they are supposed to do. Then the jobs are being created. Let us not forget the agri sector, which is a sector that is very important. Yes, we have planting for food and jobs, Green Ghana program. These are short-term programs. We need to look at long-term programs that are sustainable.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarah Mkawo. Good to speak to you after a long while. I appreciate your time. We'll speak sometime soon. Thank you. All right, we are watching the marketplace. Let's turn to other news for you. Prices of petroleum products are expected to be reduced at the pumps this week. This is based on data Joy Business has picked up from some of the major oil marketing companies. Here's more in the following report.
Joy Business understands that we could see up to 2% reduction per litre at the pumps for the various petroleum products. This is based on what we've picked up from some of the major oil marketing firms that we've been engaging since last Friday. We're also learning that some of the oil marketing firms could actually start dropping prices at the pumps from today. The reduction has been influenced by the continued stability of the Ghana cedi and prices of finished petroleum products on the international market. However, some industry watchers that Joy Business have been engaging are not happy with the proposed margin of reduction with the various petroleum products. This is based on the current developments on the market.
You're watching the marketplace. We're taking a short break. When we come back, we'll have your financial market updates. Welcome back to the marketplace. Time now for your financial market updates. Government recorded a 19.75% oversubscription of Treasury bills a week after President Mahama won the presidential elections. That's according to the Treasury bills auctioned by the Bank of Ghana. Interest rates, however, neared 30%. Here's more in this report.
The government got 8.20 billion cedis from selling the short-term instrument. All the bids were accepted. A little over 6.740 billion cedis were secured from the 91-day bill, representing 82.1% of the total bids. For the 182-day bill, 951.67 million cedis were tendered. The 364-day bill also recorded 508.15 million cedis from the sale of the 364-day bill. Meanwhile, interest rate neared the 30% mark. The yield on the 91-day bill also increased by 17 basis points to 27.77%. That of the 182-day bill was 28.49% from the previous weeks of 28.32%. The interest rate on the 364-day bill also went up by 3 basis points to 29.94%.
Let's turn to the stock market next for some updates. I'm joined by analyst Bertha Atubiga. Good afternoon to you, Bertha. How did the market fare last week?
Good afternoon. Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon. And last week was quite a very good one on the Ghana Stock Exchange, comparing it to previous week. It began red. That's the first trading session for the week, ended with two decliners. We saw MTN go down by 1.25%, and then we saw New Gold Exchange Traded Fund also go down by 11.55%. So MTN ended Monday at 2 Ghana cedis, 37 pesos per share. So that brought the market capitalization down to 108.86 billion Ghana cedis, and the market capitalization was down by 0.68% to 50.36%. The financial stock index, however, at the beginning of the week, did not see any changes, and we saw it close at 24.54%, just as it saw for the previous week. But going into subsequent days within the week, Tuesday ended positive. SIC was a sole gainer on the market. It added 2 pesos to close at 27 pesos per share. And the total volumes that we saw trade on the stock market also went up significantly. MTN dominated trading activity with about 3.58 million shares changing hands, and at 2 Ghana cedis, 37 pesos per share. And if you compare this to Monday, you realize that total volume increased by 836%, and total value was up by 199%. And because of the gain that we saw in SIC is not a very high capitalized equity in the stock market. So we saw the GST Financial Stock Index go up marginally by 0.1% to close at 50.37% as year-to-date gain. And then the Financial Stock Index was also up by 0.2% to close at 24.56%. And going into midweek, where we saw more equities join the gainers list, and total volume, however, came down. We saw over 199,000 shares trade at a value of over 1.74 million Ghana cedis. Total volume and value, comparing it to the previous week, was down by 95% and 86% respectively. MTN again dominated trading activity with over 65,000 shares trading. EcoBank followed, and we also saw GCB Bank as well. We had 2 gainers. GCB Bank in total, GCB was up by 0.79%. That's 5 pesos to close at 6 Ghana cedis, 35 pesos per share. And total went up by 2 pesos to close at 12 Ghana cedis, 92 pesos per share. So this also saw the GST Financial Stock Index go up to 50.41% as the year-to-date gain, going up by 0.03%. And the Financial Stock Index also advanced by 0.06% to 24.64%. And the market capitalization also went up to 108.8 billion Ghana cedis. Thursday was very positive with 3 gainers: Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited, Unilever, and New Gold Exchange Traded Fund. So Guinness was up by 8.51% to close at 5 Ghana cedis, 10 pesos. It was the most traded equity in volume, actually, with it traded 300,000 shares. Unilever traded 250,001 shares, also went up by 5.82% to close at 17 Ghana cedis, 99 pesos per share. And New Gold Exchange Traded Fund, it was the 4th most traded equity after MTN Ghana. It traded 98,000 shares went up by 3.34% to close at 389.65 Ghana cedis per share. So we saw the DSC Financial Stock Index actually go up to 50.88%, and the market capitalization also went up to 109 billion Ghana cedis. And then ending the week last week, the market capitalization went up to 109.2 billion Ghana cedis, with MTN Ghana going up by 0.42%, and it added more value to investors. And if you look at MTN right now, it's currently dominating activities on the stock market.
Yeah.
So MTN Ghana was the sole gainer by close on Friday. Total volume and value declined by 91% and 27% comparing it to Thursday.
Yeah, and we expect that rally with MTN Ghana stocks to continue this week, don't we? We also got our eyes on EcoBank Ghana. What are you watching this week? Tell us.
Well, like you rightly mentioned, MTN is one equity that I'm actually looking out for to go up further this week. Even though starting the week, it didn't do well at the beginning of, it has already added the pressure to investors' capital. Even though it went down last week by 3 pesos, you realize that starting this week, MTN is already up by a certain margin and will actually go up further this week, at least. Or to remain volatile on the stock market.
Okay.
But I personally need to invest, or the general public to look out for, because it's a very liquid equity, and it also they pay, instead you're looking for capital gains, or you're looking at the dividend payment that comes from these companies. There are some companies on the Ghana Stock Exchange do not pay dividends at all, but MTN is one equity that stands out. Okay, so MTN is one equity that I'm looking out for, and we should expect some volatility in the equity this week.
All right, Bertha, thank you so much. Good to speak with you on the marketplace. I appreciate your reporting this afternoon. That's the marketplace. Thanks for watching. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Energy sector, major source of financial risk. Legacy debts hit $2.1 billion, according to the IMF. Also, the news on the T-bills auction, government recorded 19.75 oversubscription, interest rates nearing 30%. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Thanks for watching. My name is Darryl Kwa. We'll see you same time tomorrow.